Hey y'all, it is Nick with Alchemy Custom Weaponry with my good friend and confidant, compadre,
bosom buddy,
William Elijah Duckworth. And we're here to talk about Quantico holsters, and specifically the HiCap. The single stack is going to be inside of here, because this is a question we get quite frequently.
All the time.
All the time. And I'm just going to say right now, if you have a Quantico HiCap, and you have a 5-inch gun, so the full rail or the standard Quantico HiCap, find a holster that works for the Staccato XC. 95 times out of 100, it's going to work on your gun. The only reason it wouldn't is if it's really too tight on the top, because we do have a round top profile versus a flat top. If you get something that's built for a tri-top gun like Tri-Arcs, Tri-11, it's going to be a little too tight on the sides and the top of the slide. So Staccato XC for 5-inch guns, and the older Staccato Ps for your 4¼ inch guns. So the pre-2024 Staccato Ps, holsters designed for that, will work for your Quantico HiCaps and Quantico HiCap Carry. So what do I have here? I have different holsters that I personally use. If I'm going to be carrying my Quantico HiCap with a light and an X300, here are some of the options that I have tried. First off, if you need a duty rated holster, you're gonna have your Safariland 6390 RDS, and the ones that are designed for the Staccato XC will work. Let me get this all figured out. Yeah, you act like my belt, okay? So this is the one for the XC with your X300. Let me see if I can get this lined up. Boom, hood's down, good retention right there. If you need the level 3 retention, you're going to be going with the 6360 version. Now the holsters may say it will not work with the SRO installed. That is because most other guns, the SRO sits too far forward and is gonna run into the holster. Once again, 9.5 times out of 10, because of our red dot mount making the SRO low and far back, you can get it into most red dot holsters. So even if it says not compatible with the SRO, it may in fact be compatible with the SRO. Moving on to carrying appendix style. What'd you do? You just broke my holster. Oh, you took the little cap out of it. Whatever, that thing's stupid. Anyway, so for appendix carry, for appendix carry on a Quantico HiCap, and this is going to be a Quantico HiCap, a Quantico HiCap full rail, or Quantico HiCap carry with the X300 and a red dot or not. This is what I use, the Tenacore Malice Sole. I really like these metal clips here. It gets real nice retention and hooks in there. So it's the Malice Sole for 1911-2011. Very good retention, and yes, if you have a 5-inch gun, it is going to be sticking out, but make sure you understand that the Malice Sole, you are going to have your light attached in order for this holster to work. Have you ever carried your Quantico HiCap with a light?
With it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you use?
LAS Concealment Seiya 2.0.
Oh, and that's the sidecar style.
No, the Seiya is not. I do have a Ronin L 3.0 that I've used with mine back when I was real big into that. So I use the LAS Seiya 2.0 with no sidecar, and then the Ronin L 3.0 with a sidecar. And then I actually ordered both of those for a, funny enough, for a Staccato C2 with an X300.
Yeah.
And they fit.
Yep, the Staccato C2, the
which is the shorter one, actually.
Yeah, the shorter one. So yeah, most of the time Staccato P or Staccato XC, but in that case the Staccato C2.
Well, because they index off the light, but they do just kind of like a big hole, like a big, square.
You get a lot more leeway if you carry your gun with a light, because it's gonna index off the light. If you're gonna go without the light, things get a little bit more difficult and complicated, but this is the Tenacore, the Ronin 3, if you're going to carry without the light. Now, yes, it is very short down here because I did use sidecars at one point, but I had really short 2011s, not from our company, so I chopped it off to make it as short as possible. I know, terrible, and it's been so long that I don't even use it. The little thing's flopping off there. But this is for the Staccato, and boom, yeah. My gun's sticking out quite a bit at the bottom because normally there's more length there on the holster. But yeah, the Ronin 3 will work if you spec it out for the Staccato of an appropriate length. If you want a sidecar without a light, the Ronin 3L with a light. Moving on to Appendix Carry without a sidecar and without a light. This is the Tenacore Certum 3, and I really like this holster because it seems to be the most universal for me. So if I have my Quantico HiCap or Quantico HiCap Carry with a standard length rail, boom, fits right in there. Very good retention. That is the Certum 3. If I want to carry a single stack Quantico without a light, Certum 3 also works. And the single stack Quantico with a light will also work on the Malice sole as well. Most of these lights that index off of the X300 are gonna work. So boom, right there, the single stack. Here's why I really like the Certum 3, is if I want to carry a non-rail gun, I can actually fit it in there into this same holster. This is a Prime Elite. And I did get the one for the Staccato P originally because I was carrying a shorter gun, but if you get the longer one, it's gonna fit. You look confused.
That's cool, I didn't realize
It's really cool. So this holster is the most universal. So this specific holster is what I use for just about every single gun. Yeah.
I was gonna say too, if you fancy something a little fancier, Milt Sparks now makes Quantico HiCap holsters.
That's what you should do.
They are without lights, just to let you know. They are without lights. You know, the optic's not really an issue with Alchemy, as you explained earlier, so they don't, I mean, you should probably tell them if you have an optic or not, but it's not as detrimental.
Yeah.
But they do make, you know, Summer Special 2s. I'm sure they make maybe the VM2, which is very popular. So if you want a nice leather holster and you're not going to be carrying a light, that is absolutely an option. I'm sure there are other leather makers out there too, but I'm going to be honest, I am hyper biased towards Milt Sparks. I like Galco too.
Yeah,
but
Galco
Milt
makes
Sparks
great
is
stuff,
definitely they're my people.
A little bit of a lead time, but I mean, they hold up well. They're beautiful. I mean, it's worth the wait.
Sure.
Now let's talk about carrying outside the waistband 3 o'clock. On a rail gun, that's really not my jam, but if I were to do it, I'd just get a Milt Sparks. Honestly, I'd be getting a leather holster, hands down. Like that's what I would do. But if you gotta have kydex, you can actually get the Tier 1 concealed Spara. You can get it for the single stack. You just order the one that says 1911 5-inch with a rail. Fits very, very well on that. If you get the one from Tier 1 concealed that says it's the Bull Armory TAC SAS 5-inch yada yada yada, that will fit the HiCap. However, this does fit in here. It just doesn't have the full click retention because the body is a little bit wider down here. So it fits, but it's not as good of a fit if you get the single stack 1911. So get the double stack version for the Bull Armory guns, and that's how you want to do that. Now the last option here is from RDR Gear. If you want to have a holster that is outside the waistband, that is kydex, that has an X300. It is his outside the waistband kydex X300 holster for a 2011, and boom, that fits very, very well for carrying at 3 o'clock outside the waistband. I don't know if there's really any other carry options that we need to cover. What about you?
Nope.
Nope.
I'm done.
If you have a Quantico or a Quantico HiCap, those are your options. If you have something else that you're specifically looking for, Staccato XC is what is going to have the most holster compatibility.
And if you are watching this and you do have a Quantico HiCap that you use a holster we didn't list, please put it in the comments, because I'm sure there's people that will, you know, be interested in other things. They maybe, you know, don't like what we picked, so we would love to hear what has worked for you. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you got anything else?
No, I mean, that's the main thing, because people, well, what about XYZ holster? We can't test every holster that comes out on the market. So if you have something that works.
I don't like most holsters, so, you know what I mean? Once I get the holster I like, I don't really play around with it. But with that, thank you so much. Always remember, carry cocked and locked. We'll take you next time. Man, I let that accent slip big time on that.
Take it next time.
I
Leave that one in there.
I heard that, and I was like,
don't use it. That's whatever he's about to do.
Damn, it slipped a little bit. It slipped a little bit. Nah, it's fine.
All right, done.